If we want people to come to our communities and stay in our communities, and like you said, that young talent, we do have to work together to be able to offer different opportunities. So, for instance, like in the town of Westport, I'm on the North Shore of Lake Mendota. I have a state park, I have wonderful trails, and I have marinas and businesses. And, we got 4,100 people in our town's worth $1 billion. But it wouldn't be that way if I wasn't just north of Madison, surrounded by Wanakee, and right next to the city of Middleton. And so we all tend to try and really work together with Dane County to make it as good a community as we can. And we have to think about this money that we're getting, and how can Wanakee take advantage of Westport and the marinas, and how can Middleton take care of Westport and Governor Nelson State Park, and how can Madison take advantage of Westport and look north from the Union and not have to worry about, excuse me, our stormwater ruining the lake and things like that. So we do need to collaborate it.
We have to somehow encourage one another, because I want to take a step back. Part of how I want to spend this money, or how I want to have the Barron County Board of Supervisors approve spending this money, is, look, if you're the town of Apple and you get $100,000 of ARPA money and you want to spend that on broadband expansion, I want to see Barron County match your $100,000 with that local provider match $100,000. So $100,000 becomes $300,000. And instead of getting 2 or 3 or 4 miles of broadband high-speed fiber, we didn't get 4 miles, we got 24 miles. That's what I want to do. I want to leverage. So my final point is advice. Let's us on this group encourage one another, that when we talk cooperation, it's not a win or lose, it's a win-win.
When it comes to collaboration, and Tim Hanna is up there, and I'm gonna lean on him in some future instances. We've had a fair amount of silos in this area, and that's really, really goofy. Global vision obviously has better using our resources. I went and talked to the county and said, hey, listen, I don't care if we collaborate and I get a C on this deal and you get a B on this deal, because our taxpayers and the people here are going to get an A. So when you break down those walls and you start to collaborate, you make the initial investment smaller than what you want, even if you're excited about something. It allows you to find out the tempo of the people around you, which ones they're going to take off with and which ones they're going to champion. Those championed ideas, Tim pointed this out early on in my career, is when you find those successes, those drive other successes. And you don't get to control which ones take off right away. So when you have all the things, you basically offer it up as this is how we're going to work as a collaborative group. These are the rules. We're willing to do our work and our fair share. Once again, when I talked about inspired, not hired, you take that it's going to get 40% more production out of it because they're inspired. They're not hired to do something. So something that's my idea might not take off as much as another idea in the community, and that's perfectly fine. Have that initial investment a little bit less, so that it can trickle in and you can see which ones build momentum.
I'm really looking at partnerships, partnering with not only other local government entities, but also with nonprofits, even arts and culture, the libraries. What can we do a little bit outside of our town borders that could really have a bigger impact with these dollars, because that's our goal, right, is to be able to kind of have that multiplier effect. And so it's really going to take some partnership and some collaboration.
And Jim, I wanted to follow up on Melissa's point with partnerships. I mean, collaboration is key to our success. Collaboration has always been key to our success. And one of the reasons I'm so excited about this infusion of resources is, in my 23-year career here, we've never seen anything like this. But candidly, I feel like it's in our wheelhouse. County government has been making investments in transportation, infrastructure, mental health, crisis response. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is what we do. And we do it in a real thoughtful manner, working with our county board and collaborating with the community. A couple of thoughts that, some participants might be interested in that we've established here is we have a group called the Heads of Local Government, and it involves the chief elected official of every town, village, and city. And we get together generally 3 times or so a year, depending on need, and we break bread and we talk about areas and opportunities to problem solve. That's exactly what we're doing now with this ARPA funds. Between Sheboygan County that received 22.4 million, the city of Sheboygan that received 22 million, and county-wide with all the villages, towns, it's about 59 million. We want to make sure we're wisely leveraging these dollars, making long-term valuable investments. So we've already had one meeting with the group a few weeks ago on broadband. We're meeting again tonight to talk about that very topic. Of course, infrastructure, housing continues to be so critical. But if you don't have a heads of local government group in your community, you might want to consider it, because it really not only is valuable now to collaborate, but going forward it'll be valuable. The other area that we're really tapping into is we have a Sheboygan County Economic Development Corporation. I think 65 of the 72 counties have an EDC. What an opportunity to tap into them. Our Economic Development Corporation has about 40 companies. It's public-private organization, and we are utilizing them. We're working in collaboration with them to establish advisory committees. We're looking to establish one for housing, for workforce development, for childcare, for transportation. So again, we get good ideas from the community, work in collaboration not only with the county, but with the city and other units of government, and make ultimately wise investments.
The towns in Dane County, I ran the numbers, are going to get $7.4 million combined out of this. Now, some of our towns are going to get $80,000 or $90,000. The town of York, my neighbor next door, 700 people, they're probably going to get $40,000. They can't do anything individually with broadband or highway construction as far as that goes. But collaboration with a lot of the boundary issues, whether it's broadband or a road that's shared on a boundary or those kinds of things, that's where this is going to really be valuable, is if these communities can collaborate, can consolidate their resources. And in the past, we've seen that happen with the towns that have shared, and other communities, villages and cities also. We share a lot of resources with the city of Sun Prairie on occasion. Cost savings in doing a multi-community project versus one community going out individually for bids and those kinds of things. So there's some cost savings with the collaboration too.
We heard this in the first session. Coordinate with your local communities, your county, cities, villages, towns, the university system, and listen to people like your Chamber of Commerce and figure out what is the transformational project or projects in your community that you would have done if you had the money pre-pandemic, and now you have the money. And you can do it on the water, sewer. We heard a lot about broadband in the first session, stormwater, roads, bridges.
We've already met with City of La Crosse and talked about partnering on the homelessness issue. I've had the towns reach out to me, which is why I asked the earlier question about what kind of guidance the towns are getting, because they're not used to receiving significant amount of federal dollars and the reporting requirements. I'm hopeful that the towns will do what, Mark, you have done for us at counties, and is helping give guidance to what's allowed. We plan to meet with the towns unit later on when we have a little bit further understanding, so that we can help offer expertise and assistance to them. Because again, a county of our size has a lot of financial expertise. We're used to the single audit. We're used to reporting. Towns are not going to be as sophisticated as that, and they need us to help work with them while they get their guidance from their association and their attorneys on what are allowed expenses. So that's in our timeline, is to meet directly with all of our municipalities and eventually surrounding municipalities on what their dreams and values are as well.
It's time for us all to sit down with our locals, right? If you've got a county administrator, a county executive, reach out to them by telephone, set up a meeting. If you've got a mayor next to you, we're lucky here in where I am in Racine County. We have the Johnson Foundation at Wingspread, who's making us all meet, which is, I mean that in the kindest way. So we're lucky that we'll have a summit here locally with the county executive, with the mayor of the city of Racine, with the village president of Caledonia, and the village president of Mount Pleasant. I would strongly encourage everybody, Jeff, everybody else, all the wonderful places that we have in Wisconsin. At the very least, you owe it to your constituents, and I'm not trying to preach, but to have that conversation in the next 30 days. Because, you know, when we all sit together and we see each other and we talk to each other, we all have more commonalities than we do differences. And at least those ideas will bubble up when you're in those kinds of meetings.